Do you always want to be thinking about the business? Do you always want to be working 90 hours a week? Probably not. So what would be a more ideal work week for you? And what kinds of boundaries do you want to have between yourself and the business? Mental boundaries and physical boundaries. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. You work hard in your business. On the Profit by Design podcast, we ask the big question. What has your business done for you lately? Hi, I'm Dr. Sabrina Starling, the business psychologist, the author of How to Hire the Best, and your co-host on the Profit by Design podcast. Weekly, my co-host, Mike Bruno, and I bring you tips, tools, and strategies from our own experiences and from the experiences of our guests, who are entrepreneurial thought leaders and real-life entrepreneurs, all to support you in making intentionally profitable and sustainable business decisions to live the lifestyle you desire. At Tap the Potential, we know that you want to be freed from the constant demands of your business. In order to do that, you need a business that supports your life. The problem is you have a cash-sucking business taking over your life, leaving you frustrated and discouraged. We believe work supports life, not the other way around. We understand you're paying a team and you're still having to do it all. There should be accountability. It shouldn't be this hard, which is why through our proprietary coaching system, we help thousands of business owners just like you have more time for what's important to them and grow profit by 300 to 800%. Here's how we do it. First, take our assessment at tapthepotential.com/assessment. Next, meet with our success team lead to debrief your results. Then, join our Better Business, Better Life program. By the end of your first year with us, you will have more time for what matters to you and more money in your bank account than you've ever had before. So take our assessment at tapthepotential.com/assessment so you can stop working so hard for so little return and take your life back. As we kick off today's episode, I want to welcome some new members of the Profit by Design podcast Facebook group. In recent months, we've had quite a few people joining us, and it's been a little while since I've done this member welcome. So here's a big shout out to Debbie Weidwald, David Samuelson, Old Time Farm, Liddell Rigsby, Robert Gladstein, Tom Hurley, Barb Stackhouse, Joel & Co. Construction, Jeff Eatley, Arbesa Gashi, Chuck Pierce, Dennis Gaiman, Randy White, and Joe Dvorak. We are honored to have you with us here on the Profit by Design podcast. As our Profit by Design podcast Facebook group membership has grown, it occurred to me it's been a little while since I've asked you all to leave an honest review of the podcast. Reviews are so powerful to help other entrepreneurs like yourself who can use this information and the support that we're providing on the podcast to you. It'll help more people discover the podcast. So if you have been enjoying the podcast and finding value, I would greatly appreciate it if you would hop over to Apple Podcasts and leave us an honest review. Now, one thing that I know is that it is a little hard to figure out how to leave a review on Apple Podcasts. So I thought I would walk you through that real quick right here. So the best thing is to be on a desktop when you do this, and you want to go to podcast.apple.com and search for the Profit by Design podcast. When you land on that page within Apple Podcasts, in the center near the top, you will see a purple button that says Listen on Apple Podcasts. You will need to click that and then open in iTunes. And when you open in iTunes, near the top, towards the left of the page, but more towards the center, there is a place to click on Ratings and Reviews. Click that, and then look down the page just a little bit to Customer Reviews, and then right there is the button you need. It says Write a Review. So that's how you do it. I hope that's helpful and would really appreciate an honest review. As I've been working on the 4-week vacation book that will publish this December, I've had the privilege of having a lot of conversations with you. Many of you are confiding in me that you really struggle with entrepreneurial burnout. You're really identifying with the symptoms of just feeling like you are working too hard for too little in return. And you've been at this for a while. And on today's episode, I want to talk with you about 3 steps to take your life back from your business, because we really are all about work supports life, not the other way around at Tap the Potential. And I know when you are in the weeds of the business and your business is past the startup phase, you're an established business, you have maybe more work than you can handle. It is time to really start reclaiming your life and shift the balance where your business is supporting your life versus all of your time and energy going into maintaining the business. So that's where I want to go on today's episode. I want to talk to you about these 3 steps to take your life back. And my intent is these are tangible action steps that you can do right away so that a week from now or 2 weeks from now, you're already feeling more life than you've experienced in quite some time. First, I want to share with you an analogy to give you some perspective on what may be going on in your business. So if your business is past the startup phase and you're an established business, it is time for your business to start growing up. And when you're a brand new business, we have to do, as brand new entrepreneurs, we have to do all kinds of things to keep the business going. And we put a lot of energy and effort in. We wear all the hats. We run around and we say yes to every opportunity that comes our way because, heck, you never know where that will lead and you hope it leads somewhere good, which is the great mindset to have when you're a startup. But that mindset no longer serves us as our businesses start to mature. So this is the classic problem of what got you here won't get you there. So the mindset that worked for you when your business was brand new does not serve you as the business goes from babyhood and toddlerhood into, early childhood and into adolescence and adulthood. This is where we have to have a shift in our mindset and start thinking about how do we treat our business and how do we treat our team, because really we teach people how to treat us. So if our mindset is not in the right place, we end up treating the business and those around us, our team members, our clients and customers, we treat them and we teach them to rely on us for everything. And that is how we entrepreneurs become the bottleneck. That's where the problem starts. We can trace it all the way back to what served us well in early entrepreneurship is no longer serving us as the business matures. So step number 1 in reclaiming your life from your business is to recognize that your mindset has to shift. So this is no longer about you and your life supporting this business. This is now about work supports life, not the other way around. This is about designing a sustainably profitable business that supports your life vision, what you want to create. And so as you start working on your mindset, it really helps to think about what kind of life do I want? If I could design my ideal life, what would that look like? Oftentimes when I'm talking to new clients coming in at Tap the Potential and I'm asking them, how many hours a week are you working? I hear, well, I'm working about 90 hours a week. But Dr. Sabrina, did you mean the time that I'm thinking about the business or time that I'm actually physically present at the business? Because that's going to be a little more. And then the follow-up statement that I often hear is, Dr. Sabrina, actually a better question would be, when am I not working? Because I can answer that really easily. It's hardly ever, because I'm always thinking about the business. So that is what we want to start shifting. Do you always want to be thinking about the business? Do you always want to be working 90 hours a week? Probably not. So what would be a more ideal work week for you? And what kinds of boundaries do you want to have between yourself and the business? Mental boundaries and physical boundaries. And I'll talk more about that in a minute when I talk about step 2 to taking your life back. But for now, I just want to get you thinking about, you have the magic wand. You can design your life as an entrepreneur however you want it to be in a way that is sustaining for you. What does that look like? Really get in touch with that. How do you spend your days? How do you feel when you're working? How do you feel when you're not working? Who are you spending time with when you're not working? What are you like when you are fully mentally present with the people you care most about in your life? What is that like for you? So as you start to get a hold of that vision, now I want you to start thinking about, as you're going through your work week, and you have more and more things coming onto your plate, more things to do, one of the questions I want you to hold for yourself is, who else could do this? If I couldn't do this, if I had my hands tied behind my back, how would I get this done? If I were out sick this week, how would this get handled? If I had to be out for surgery for an extended period of time, say 6 weeks, how would these things get handled? That's a powerful question to consider and to hold, and start looking at your business in that way, because we all know there's no guarantee that we're going to have the privilege of showing up for work tomorrow. Something could happen, and I hope it doesn't, but it could. And so thinking through, how do things get done in this business if I'm not the one doing them, will start to open your eyes to small opportunities that you have right here at your fingertips to shift some things around, to move some things off of your plate. Now, I know that you may not have the team that you need, or the systems may be weak, or they may be non-existent. That's going to get handled down the road. But for now, just start looking at, what do I have in front of me that I could have someone else do, or that it could be automated, or that there would just be a simpler way to handle these things so it's not on me to do this. A similar question, also powerful, is who else on my team would be better able to do this than me? Who has a strength in this area? Who has this skill set that I could delegate this to? Just start noticing those things. I know that when you take those 2 questions and you go through your week this week, you will identify things you can shift off your plate that will free up some time. And it's about the small steps forward, taken in a consistent direction, lead to big change over time. So if you hold these questions in mind this week, next week, and weeks going forward, just imagine what you'll start to shift around in your business to create more room for your life and to take some things off of your shoulders. If one of the gremlin thoughts that starts running through your head is, yeah, Dr. Sabrina, I hear you say all that, but I don't trust my team. I don't trust that they'll handle it the way I want it to be handled. Then my follow-up question to you is, what needs to happen for you to trust your team? Pay attention to your response to that question, because that's showing you where there's some work to be done in your business. Let's move to step 2, to take your life back. Step 2 is to practice being unavailable in your business. Yep, you heard me. Practice telling your team, I'm just not here. How will things get handled? If you've never done this before, start small. So tell your team members that for an hour each day, you are just not available. Turn your cell phone off during designated hours. Turn your cell phone off when you leave work. At Tap the Potential, we encourage our team members to turn off their notifications and not communicate after work hours. There is just no need to be that responsive. It's important to have some better boundaries for yourself around your availability. At the Breakthroughs on the Bayou retreat, one of the things that we do is the no cell phone challenge. So when our participants arrive, they put their cell phones into a basket and we whisk that basket away to an undisclosed location. And during the retreat, they are fully present and engaged with us. There are no distractions from text messages coming through, no random phone calls or phones ringing during retreat time and our mastermind discussions. It really creates a much higher quality experience when we're fully present in the moment. We really underestimate how distracting being constantly available is, and the context switching that happens when we interrupt a conversation or step aside and respond to a text message. That takes us out of the moment. It keeps us from having deeper connections with the people around us. So just think about that for yourself. What would it be like to go home from work this evening and put your cell phone away in an undisclosed location, stick it in a drawer, and pick it up again in the morning the next day when you go to work? Start practicing these small moments of being unavailable to your work. That starts to train your team and those around you not to rely on you for everything. It creates the opportunity for team members to step up and handle situations. Now, I do encourage you to let your team know you're going to do this ahead of time so that it's not a sudden change in your behavior. But here's the deal. Team members will rely on us to handle situations and solve problems just because they're used to that. And if you have ever gotten onto a team member for doing something wrong, that team member is going to be very sensitive about running everything by you first to get your opinion so they don't make that mistake again and get on your bad side. So it becomes very critical at this point as you're practicing being unavailable that you prep your team for this and let them know, I believe you are fully capable and competent. You have good judgment. I want you to handle the situations as they come up. I'll be available again at such and such time. If you have something that you can't handle on your own, that's when I'll be available for you. Now, another nice thing about practicing being unavailable is if you have one-to-one meetings with your team members, you've probably already started to train them to bring major issues to you that need your attention during those one-to-one meetings. So those one-to-one meetings that happen every week will stop the drive-bys. And if you're in a physical office space where you share space with team members, you know what a drive-by is. That's where someone walks by your desk and says, hey, got a minute? And before you know it, whatever you were working on is long out of your attention. You're focused on their issue, and you're lucky if you get back to that thing that you were working on by the end of the day. So drive-bys in an office setting are very chaotic. Now, those of us who have virtual team, we don't have the problem of drive-bys because we're working, all across the country and we're working virtually in our own spaces. But what we do have is text, email, Slack, Asana, all these other means of communication. And if we keep our Asana or a Slack open all day long and we're constantly feeling the need to respond when a notification pops up, it's the equivalent of the in the office drive-by. So we need to put an end to that. There are times when you just want to close everything down and just do your work. Don't have your notifications on, and have set times when you're going into your communication channels to respond. So these are some small ways to start practicing being unavailable. Now, at Tap the Potential, we offer the opportunity for our clients to take the 4-week vacation pledge with us. And those are the clients who are actively working towards getting their business to run 4 weeks entirely without them being available to the business. They're not available by cell phone. They are out of pocket on vacation or just simply away from the office. As we start working with business owners to move towards the 4-week vacation, we have them take vacation tests, and you can do this a bit yourself too. So if the longest you've ever been away from your business is 3 days, then block some time on your calendar that you're going to be out for 5 days. Tell your team ahead of time and pay attention to the work that you're having to do before you leave and all the work that's piled up for you to do when you get back. Those are parts of your business that need stronger systems and team members assigned responsibilities for tasks. So it's all about starting small with being less and less available to your business and then moving up to longer and longer periods where your business is able to function without you being available. Now, one of the things that you might discover is there are no real crises in your business. The crises come from our own thinking. We respond when we are working 90 hours a week and we're hopping from one thing to the next. We have adrenaline coursing through our system. We are in fight or flight mode. We are not making rational decisions. We are making decisions based on survival. When we are operating in survival mode, we don't do our best thinking. So that is why we tend to treat the smallest things like they are crises in our business when they're actually not. And that actually keeps us working on the deeper level issues that we need to be addressing so that the business runs more smoothly and we can have more life. Which leads me to step 3 to take your life back. And that is assess the weaker points in your business. So in step 1, we talked about your mindset and shifting to a mindset of work supporting life, not the other way around. Step 2 to take your life back is to practice being unavailable. As you practice being unavailable, you're going to notice opportunities where there's weaknesses in your business that need to be addressed. So assessing these weak points in your business and developing a plan to address these weaker points in your business so that your business becomes stronger. When your business becomes stronger and grows up, you are going to have more time for what's important to you. Now, here's the challenge when it comes to assessing our business. Remember what I said a minute ago about if we're working really hard and we're running around from one thing to the next, we're operating on adrenaline and our body and our minds are responding from fight or flight and we're in survival mode. We are not in the best place to objectively identify what actually needs our attention in the business. What is the next step that would make the business stronger? That's why it is so important to have objective measures and people that you're working with who are coaching you to identify what are the most critical actions that I could take that would help my business to be stronger and would allow me to have more freedom from my business. So let me give you a few examples of what this might look like. When you take our assessment at Tap the Potential, and you can actually take it at tapthepotential.com/assessment, we walk you through the major areas of an established business where there will be stress. And we're asking you yes, no questions so you can quickly move through that assessment. And it allows you to see a high-level overview of systems and support that you should have in place for yourself and in your business. And if you're answering no to a lot of those, it immediately becomes obvious where the stress is coming from. And here's a real concrete example of that. One of the questions on the assessment gets at how well your sweet spot is defined in your business. In your business sweet spot, and this is part of the pumpkin plan, your business sweet spot is that intersection of your top clients, your unique offering, and your systems. When you have a clearly defined sweet spot, you are working with high quality clients who value what you have to offer. You and your team are working from your strengths. It's kind of a place of zen where everything comes together and feels great. However, if one of those pieces is out of whack, for example, say you haven't clearly identified your top clients, you have a mix of clients, and a lot of clients don't hold the same immutable laws as you because maybe you haven't fully articulated your immutable laws. So because you end up with a mix of clients, you have some that really get on your nerves. They're really hard to deal with. You ask them for things, they never get back to you. Then they call you up and they complain because you haven't done what they thought you were going to do for them. You know those clients, those PETA clients. That is something that places a lot of strain on the business, and it has a lot of fallout throughout the business. It can lead to cash flow problems. It can lead to turnover on your team because your team gets burnt out because you are allowing bad behavior from clients to come in and really taint their experience at work. So then there's a lot of turnover. You're having to hire team and on and on and on. Okay. That causes problems with cash flow, with profitability. Meanwhile, it's you laying awake at night in bed, worrying how you're going to make payroll yet one more time. So On the surface, it could look like you have a cash flow problem. When we're digging through with you in that assessment, we're able to identify, wait a minute, underneath that cash flow problem is a deeper issue. They don't have clearly identified top clients, and their sweet spot is not clearly identified. So you may start working on cash flow issues and think, you know what, I just need to be more aggressive with these customers and make sure they're paying their bills on time. That will solve everything. Then you tell your team, okay, team, and you tell a couple of team members, you're going to have to follow up with these folks and track them down and get them to pay their bills. So you're going to have to get on the phone with them. Meanwhile, your team's like, oh God, do I really have to call them? And they get them on the phone, and then they have to deal with all this bad behavior as the clients dodge and evade and give them one excuse after the other. Meanwhile, morale's going down the tube. When in actuality, it's a matter of, we need to more clearly identify who our top clients are and rework how we are working from our sweet spot so that we attract more top clients and we can let go of these energy and life draining clients and cash sucking clients in the business. So I hope by walking you through that example, it adds some clarity to why I'm always coming back and saying, we business owners, when we are working so hard and we're in the middle of the weeds in our business, we are not the best ones to identify what's wrong with the business and what needs our attention. But what we are really good at identifying is how it's impacting us, how it's impacting team, and what we want to be different. So when you're taking our assessment, we're getting that information from you as you are going through and saying, yes, no, this is going on, this isn't going on. And then we're able to step back with you when we debrief that assessment and point out, okay, here's 5 things that are not going well in your business. It looks like we probably need to start with this one over here. And that's where we would start with you if you come into our Better Business, Better Life program. That is why I am so passionate about making sure that our clients that we work with, that we've done a very thorough analysis of the business and there's a strong action plan in place before you come into our program. Okay, so let's recap. The 3 steps to take your life back are, number 1, adopt the life-sustaining mindset for your business. Work supports life, not the other way around. Start asking yourself, who else can do this? Who else would be better able than me to do this? And if you don't trust your team, ask yourself, what needs to happen for me to trust my team to take some things off of my plate? Step 2 is to practice being unavailable. Train your team members and those around you to start thinking through how to handle things when you're not available. Create a new habit, essentially, around that. And step 3 is to assess your business and identify what areas of your business need attention for the business to function more effectively, to be more profitable, and for you just to have a higher quality of life. If you want to do that, you can take our assessment at tapthepotential.com/assessment. So as we conclude today, I would love to hear from you about some of the initial steps you're going to take over this next week to help you take your life back from your business. Leave me some comments about this in the Profit by Design podcast Facebook group. If you're like most business owners, you have a cash-sucking business that's taking over your life. After the first year in our Better Business, Better Life program at Tap the Potential, you'll have more time for what matters to you and more money in your bank account than you've ever had. Get started. Take our assessment at tapthepotential.com/assessment. Thank you for spending time with us today. Join our conversation in the Profit by Design podcast Facebook group. Share your thoughts on today's episode, ask us questions, and let us know what you want to hear about next. Visit our website at profitbydesignpodcast.com to access resources from our sponsors and tools we've created for you. Subscribe to the show on whatever platform you're listening to right now. There's a subscribe button right there. Go ahead and hit it so that you always get a notification when we release a new episode. And finally, share our podcast with a friend if you know a friend who would enjoy it. Thanks again for listening. This is real life business. Keep your chin up, keep moving forward. You got this.